Okay, so tonight is opening night for All-Star Weekend 2020 in Chicago. Now, we're going to see a lot of new faces, but we're also going to see some of the same old heads that we've seen year after year. And it got me to thinking, how do these players stack up against each other? Who are your top 25 current NBA players in 2020? On this channel, I'm going to break down my top 25 players in the game today, ranking them from 25 all the way to the best player in the game. Let's go ahead and get into it. Welcome back to Journey of a Ballaholic, the best talk show for basketball addicts. I'm your host, General Hannibal X. Now, for those that may be new to the channel, I drop episodes every Monday and Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And on this channel, you're going to be getting my unfiltered and passionate opinion based on the hottest NBA and college basketball topics. Now, in this episode, we're going to be discussing my top 25 current NBA players in 2020. Now, with these rankings, I do mine a little differently, right? It's not just based on talent. And it's not just based on past resume. For instance, a guy like Chris Paul, right? Chris Paul to me is one of the top 10 point guards that ever played the game. And though his team is having success, though he made an all-star team, I'm gonna be honest with you, Chris Paul is not the guy he used to be. Therefore, I don't have Chris Paul in my top 25. Now, there's also guys like Zion Williamson. Zion to me is my favorite player in the game today. Out of Duke University and an absolute monster. But he's only played 9 games. So even though I think he has a potential to be an all-star and a superstar, I can't put him in my top 25. He's getting close though. With every game he's playing, he's definitely getting close. So my top 25 is going to be based on a combination of things. We're going to look at stats, awards, team success. We're going to factor everything in there and kind of mix it all up. So there is no perfect formula for how you rank your best players. Okay, so as we get into the top 25, coming in at number 25, I've got a first-time All-Star guy who is making it as a replacement, but anybody who's seen Devin Booker's game understands he's a legitimate All-Star. Who could forget a couple years back putting up 70 points? It was in a losing effort, but nonetheless, the guy's a walking bucket. So with number 25, I gotta go with Devin Booker. Now moving over to number 24, I gotta go with my guy Slim Reaper, aka Snoopy, aka Brandon Ingram. The dude can do it all. 6'9", 7'3" wingspan. He can attack off the bounce. He's got the mid-range jump shot. So I got to go with Brandon Ingram at 24. Now at 23, I've got another Duke alum, Jason Tatum, out of the Boston Celtics. Now, who saw the game last night? Boston Celtics versus the Clippers, as Jason Tatum went bananas. 39 points, 9 rebounds. Listen, this guy has superstar written all over him, and in a couple years, he's going to hit that level. But as a first-time All-Star, he's putting everybody on notice to let him know he's one of the best players in the game today. Now, let's move on to 22. Now, 22 is not a first-time All-Star, but 22 is a guy who has a legitimate conversation about being an All-Star this year, Bradley Beal. Listen, the Washington Wizards are a mess right now. But Bradley Beal became the highest scoring player to not make an All-Star team in NBA history. Guy put up 29 points and didn't make the All-Star team. On my initial ballot, I had Bradley Beal there. But the coaches decided he wasn't worth it, as well as the fans and the media. Bradley Beal, though he may not be an All-Star this year, he's definitely one of the top 25 players in the game. Now, the guy in front of him, who is actually a starter in his first All-Star game, that's Trae Young. Listen, Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks may not be winning, but their time is coming. This guy right here is giving you almost 30 points a game, about 9 assists. He literally, on an offensive level, he's like a miniature, a smaller version, just a slightly watered down version of Stephen Curry. Unlimited range, a quick handle. Trae's the truth. The Dallas Mavericks won that trade, but Trae Young, he's a beast, man. He's an absolute monster. Okay, so now as we shift to the next 5, I gotta come in at number 20 with Donovan Mitchell, Spider-Man. Listen, he's got Utah in the thick of things in a deep Western Conference. And to be the best player on a playoff team who's gonna be a perennial playoff team, you gotta give Donovan Mitchell that credit as one of the top 20 players in the game. He's a good two-way player. He's got the ability to create his own shot. And he's got like a little Dwayne Wade in him that I kind of just like. So I got him in number 20. Now at 19, I got to go with Ben Simmons. Now Ben Simmons still has not gotten the confidence to shoot that jumper, but he does everything else that you want. He can score on the break. He can score in half court, especially if you give him enough space and being able to play off the ball. He can rebound. He's one of the best defenders in the game. Ben Simmons is a guy who literally, once he gets a jump shot, could propel himself from right here where I have him at 19 into that top 10. He's got to put in a little bit more work, but as a guy who's one of the best players on Philadelphia, I got to put him in my top 20. Now, as we move on to number 18, I got Karl Anthony Towns. This has been a very disappointing season for Towns, but we can't just negate the fact that Towns is still one of the most skilled players in the game. He's made all-star teams before. He's made all-NBA teams before. And though he's having a down season from a team success standpoint, the talent has not disappeared. And now that D'Angelo Russell's going to be there with him, hopefully he'll have a better chemistry, better fit on that team, and Minnesota can possibly next year try to sneak in into getting maybe one of those 7th to 8th spots. We got to see, because the team still really isn't where it needs to be, but that's not because of Karl Anthony Towns. Now let's move on to number 17, and I've got Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker, the Boston Celtics, they're one of the top 2-3 teams in the East, and you got to give Kemba a lot of credit for that. A lot of people understood that when Kyrie Irving left, that maybe Kemba didn't have the talent as Irving, but what he had was probably a better leader. He probably was going to be a better fit with that Boston Celtics team, and they're rolling. I mean, Kemba Walker, from offensive standpoint, he can do it all. He's got a great handle. He's very clutch, as we know. And so I got to put Kemba Walker in my top 20 because even though he's small, even though he's defensively, he's not really, I wouldn't call him a liability, but defensively, he doesn't give you what you really want. I mean, offensively, from a point guard standpoint, he's one of the top 5 in the game, bar none. Now, when we move on to number 16, I've got Jimmy Butler. If there's any question about how good Jimmy Butler is, listen, seeing him go from Philly last year to being one shot away from making the conference finals, to seeing him now with the Miami Heat, a team that didn't have any All-Stars last year, and now this team right here is one of the top 4 teams in the East, you gotta give Jimmy Butler a lot of credit. One of the best two-way players in the game, bar none, and one of the guys who, when you talk about a leader, he's gonna lead by example. He's gonna work hard. He's gonna be in your face. That was one of the problems he had with Minnesota and Karl Towns and the Andrew Wiggins of the world. So I gotta give Jimmy Butler a lot of credit. He's not in that top 15, even though it's close, but I got him coming in at number 16. Okay, so now that we're moving to the top 15, I gotta kick it off with one of the guys who, even though he hasn't played thus far this season, he's still one of the top 15 players in the game, and that's Klay Thompson. Listen, this guy, we don't know what he's gonna be when he comes back, but what we do know is that he's still gonna be one of the best shooters the game has ever seen. That's not gonna go anywhere. Now, defensively is one of the things that made him one of the top 15 players because he was an elite 3-and-D player. One of the best guys to be able to defend the other team's best player and be able to score the ball efficiently without having to be a high usage player. So I have to put Klay at number 15, and depending on how he comes back next year, depending on how healthy he is, he could move up a little bit higher or not. He could fall backwards if some of these other guys behind him kind of leapfrog. Now let's move on to number 14, and I got the Joker, Nikola Jokic. Listen, this guy here is a offensive triple threat by definition. He can shoot it, he can pass it, he can handle it, he can score. Defensively, I'm not gonna call him a liability, but that is his weakness. But from an offensive standpoint, from a focal point, he's probably, since Arvydas Sabonis, is probably the best passing big man that the NBA has seen. And that's saying a lot when you think about guys like Pau Gasol and some of the other good passing big men that we've seen in the game. Now, coming in at number 13, I've got Paul George. Paul George has had a disappointing season only because of injury. But Paul George is still one of the top players in the game. Two-way, he's a top 5, top 6 two-way players in the game. He can get his own shot. We know he's been clutch in the past. We know he has that ability to lock down the other team's best player, and he's got the heart of a champion. So I gotta put Paul George in there at coming in at number 13. Now, number 12, Luka Legend. Luka, the Slovenian super sensational star. Like, whatever name or superlative you want to give to Luka Doncic, he, to me, has earned the right to be in my top 12. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, it's only been 2 years, but this guy right here, man, is on another level. He's literally taking the Dallas Mavericks, a team that nobody really projected to be a playoff team, and if you did, you definitely didn't have them as a top 6 team, a team that could potentially move up to being a top 4 seed in the East, depending on how the second half of the season goes. It's all because of Luka. He literally is the engine that's running this Dallas Mavericks team, a team that does not feature another All-Star. So I gotta put Luka Doncic as in my top 12. And as we know, he can do it all. I mean, he's a combination of James Harden and Larry Bird, just kind of mashed all together. At number 11, right outside of my top 10, one of my favorite players in the game who still has that and embodies that Mamba mentality, Russell Westbrook. There's not a player in the game that plays harder than Russell Westbrook consistently. And now that Houston has kind of went to this full-time small ball, Russell's game he started to hit that star level again because he really didn't fit in or didn't really know how to fit in with that Houston Rockets team when they had a big man clogging the paint. Now that the paint is cleared out, Russell has been on a roll. And it's going to be hard to stop a guy like that when he's continuously attacking the paint as relentlessly as we know Russell Westbrook does. Now, Russ, we know he's got to work on some of his decision-making skills, but as long as he's not just jacking up bad threes, as long as he's in attack mode constantly, how do you stop him? How do you stop him? Defense has got to worry about that when playoff time comes. Now, let's go ahead and jump over to my top 10 in the NBA today. This is the cream of the crop, the creme de la creme. Coming in at number 10, I got to go with Kyrie Irving. I know. All the off-the-court stuff, all the drama that surrounds Kyrie Irving, the reason we give it so much attention is because his talent is that high. To me, he's the greatest ball handler that the NBA has ever seen. And there's been some great ball handlers. He literally has the ball on a yo-yo and can create any separation, any space that he needs to get his shot up and get to the rim, and is one of the best finishers under the rim that the game's ever seen. Clutch, do we even have to speak on how clutch Kyrie Irving is when we've seen him put daggers in the hearts of some of the Golden State Warriors fans, or should I say bandwagon fans from all over the world. So I gotta put Kyrie at number 10. Now, coming in at number 9, this big man here is one of the conundrums of the NBA. The talent is unbelievable. That's Joel Embiid. The health is the question. The will, the want, the desire to dominate is the question. Nobody's going to question his talent. Listen, to me, Joel Embiid is the best center in the game. He's literally a center that can do it all. He can score in the box. He can step out, shoot from the outside. He can play defense. He can pass. Like, the only weakness that Joel Embiid has is up here and in his ligaments, if you want to call it. Joel Embiid is a monster. And so if the Philadelphia 76ers are ever going to truly maximize the potential of the whole trust the process, it's going to be on the backs and the shoulders of Joel Embiid. Let's go ahead and move on to number 8. Dame Dollar. Damian Lillard. Shouldn't be a surprise there. Lillard is that type of a guy who can put a franchise on his back and carry, and has been doing it in Portland. Like, Dame Lillard doesn't have another superstar beside him. As no disrespect to CJ McCollum, but McCollum's not on that level. McCollum's never even made an all-star team. McCollum, Carmelo, older, lesser version of Carmelo Anthony, Hassan Whiteside, whether it's a Nurkic, Rodney Hood, whoever it's been he's played with, right? LaMarcus Aldridge's probably been the best player he's ever had on his team, and he's been consistently carrying this Portland team. Took them to the Western Conference Finals just last year. Now, the Portland Trail Blazers are not in the playoffs currently, but they're my pick to sneak in and get that 8th seed over the Memphis Grizzlies. And if they do it, it'll be solely because of Dame Lillard and his heroics. We've seen the run he was on earlier this year where it was 40-point game, 50-point game, he was just going, he had a legitimate Mamba mentality, right? So you gotta love Dame Lillard as being one of the top 10 players in the game today. Coming in at number 7, maybe a bit of a surprise to some, but I gotta go with Steph Curry. And it's not because Steph Curry is injured, because once again, I still think that his ability to shoot the ball is unquestionable. He's the greatest shooter the game's ever seen. His ability to handle the ball is without question. He's a leader. He's a guy who's willing to sacrifice for the betterment of the team, as we saw him do 2 years in a row with Kevin Durant stepping back to allow Kevin Durant to be the best player on that team for the team's success. So Steph Curry is that one guy who is on my top 10 list that's not in my top 5 that has the potential to be the best player on a championship team. He's already proven that. Steph Curry's proven that. And that's typically, when you look for the elite of the elites, this is a player who could potentially be the best player on a championship team. Steph Curry is that. And that's why he comes in at number 7. Now, number 6 is the unbelievable, the bearded one, the scoring machine that we really haven't seen anything like this before. And that's James Harden. Now, James Harden is an interesting guy, right? And the reason I put James Harden over Steph Curry is because Harden has taken his game, offensively, he's taken his game to historic levels, right? Like, he's taken his game to levels that, on an average, Kobe Bryant never averaged what James Harden is averaging. Michael Jordan never averaged what James Harden is currently averaging. Like, he's on a level scoring-wise we just have not seen. Now, defense we know is not it's not a specialty. But I gotta give James Harden credit. He's actually stepped his defense up more than it has been in years past. He used to be just like the Olay type defense. That's not James Harden anymore. He at least will compete a little bit, right? And so that ability that he's gotten where he's improved on the defensive end is why I've slightly pushed him right past Stephen Curry ever so slightly. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. Top 5, the best of the best, without question. Coming in at number 5, I got Anthony Davis. To me, Anthony Davis is one of those guys that you can look at and say, could he be next in line to be the best player in the game? Gotta remember, Anthony Davis is still only 26 years old. So he is just entering into those prime years. And he's potentially the leading candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. He's leading them in points, rebounds, steals, blocks. Like, he's doing that. He's finally in the spotlight, and he's showing he can live up to playing in the spotlight. So I got to come with Anthony Davis at number 5. Now, number 4 is probably the biggest surprise on my list, and that's having Kevin Durant there. I know he hasn't played all season. He's coming off the Achilles injury. But the last time we saw Kevin Durant, he was the best player in the game. If it wasn't for that Achilles injury, he would be number 1 on my list right now. But because there's so many unknowns with that Achilles, now his shot, like Steph Curry, like Klay Thompson, it's not going to go anywhere, right? He's still going to be easy money sniper. But how will it affect his athleticism? How will that affect his defense? Because he had become an improved defender. So those are questions we still have with Kevin Durant, but I can't let him slide any further down than number 4 on my list. Now, coming in at number 3, this is another shocker, and that's Kawhi Leonard, the reigning and defending Finals MVP. Now, coming into the season, I had Kawhi Leonard higher than this. And I have to admit that. But one of the reasons why I had to drop Kawhi Leonard down is because for the second year in a row, he's taken load management to another level that we're just not really accustomed to seeing our superstars live at and play at. Like, you missed 22 games last year, and now you've already missed 13 games this year. And the second half of the season, you're probably going to miss another 7, 8 games. So you're going to be looking at another 20 games missed. I can't put you as the best player in the game if you're not even going to play 70 games. Like, I'm used to guys like Jordan and Kobe, and I mean, these guys were playing. These guys gave it to you every single night. We just saw last night against the Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum's on fire, Jason Tatum's going bananas, and every time down the court, Kawhi Leonard just allows the screen to come and just allows Landry Shamet to be switched on him. Like, listen, Kawhi Leonard is still an elite two-way player. He's probably still the best on-ball defender in the game. But Kawhi defensively has had to sacrifice how good he was defensively because of all the load that he has to carry on offense. And I get that. But that's what made him, that was his claim to fame, was his defensive intensity and consistency. He hasn't been that level of a defender this year. You got to keep it honest. Let's be honest here. So his defense is falling back slightly. And the load management is the biggest reason why I have to put him outside of my top 2. Now, the top 2, you can flip-flop, throw with a coin, but the reason I put Giannis at number 2 is because, to me, he's the best regular season player in the game. Even over James Harden, Steph Curry, of all of them. Giannis is the best regular season player. He showed that last year with the MVP. He's going to be the MVP against this year. His team's on the pace for 70 wins. 70 wins they're on pace for. And he's dominating both ends of the court. About 30 points, 13 rebounds, almost 6 assists. Like, he's on a whole nother level statistically. But I can't put him as the best player in the game until he wins a championship. That's just my rule. You cannot be the best player in the game until you get it. For me, Jordan didn't become the best player until 91 when he won that chip. Shaq didn't become the best player in the game until 2000 when he won a chip. Same thing for LeBron James. Until 2012, he wasn't the best player in the game in my eyes. I'm not going to crown you as the best if you don't have the crown. So coming in at number 1 is LeBron James still to this day, because he's shown, despite his injury last year, despite the time off, despite missing the playoffs, he showed that when healthy, he still gets it done. And he switched his game up a little bit to now he's leading the NBA in assists in year 17. We just saw him the other night. He's not slowing down. People would have thought, oh, his body's going to start breaking down. Everybody's talking about how he should load manage like Kawhi. He says, no, I'm the best player. I'm going to come out here every night that I can, and I'm going to give you that work. That's what you want from the best players. That's what you want to see from the guys who are going to be placed at the top of the kingdom, at the top, and wear that crown. So this is my top 25 players in the game. Go into the comment section below and let me know what you think. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? How do you rank? What did I get wrong? Did I leave somebody out? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, I appreciate you for taking a look at this video. Please consider subscribing to the channel, hit that like button, and tap that notification bell so that you can stay updated with the journey of a Ballaholic.